Hello, good evening, and welcome back to THU TV, transmitting live from Troia in Portugal. It's going to be awesome today. I only have one guest with me today. This is Martin, and we're going to be talking about all sorts of amazing things about education. So Martin's based in Singapore and is running a photography school there. Sorry, a visual effects school. And you have all sorts of amazing stories about what it's like to run a VFX school. Mm-hmm. Awesome. So tell me a little bit about you and what you do and what the school does.
Right. Our school is actually it's a private school in Singapore, and we have three majors. The first one is concept art and illustration, where we have the Imaginary Friends Studio as our partner, and we have the visual effects and animation course as well. And the third one is the motion graphics course, which is the one that I'm a program director for the motion graphic course and also a senior lecturer. Yeah.
Awesome. So how many students go through the school?
In 1 year, we have 3 batches. Each batches, it is kind of varied between all the courses. The concept art and illustration has 25 students per intake. And the visual effects has about 20 students per intake. The motion graphics is relatively new, so currently we have about 5 to 8 students per intake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice intimate group of people.
Yeah, it's like a private class.
That's awesome. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So do people come from all over the world, from all over Southeast Asia, or just from locally in Singapore, or where are your students from?
It's from all around the world, but majority, I would say, from Southeast Asia. Our biggest market, I think, is from Indonesia, the biggest market. Yeah.
That's super cool. And so for all of these different courses, do they run concurrently, or do you have like the running around a year?
They're all running for the whole year, but in 1 year there's 3 intakes.
Okay.
Yeah. So every 4 months we will take new batch of students. Yeah.
Awesome. So you teach the motion graphics part of that. What is motion graphics?
Right. Motion graphics, if you summarize the meaning, is kind of like graphic design animated.
Okay.
Graphic design or illustration animated.
Right. So who uses that?
Mostly the people that use, actually nowadays in this digital era, whatever digital screen that you see needs motion graphics.
Right.
For example, TV broadcast channel is our main market. Every TV channel, for example, like MTV, Nickelodeon, National Geographic, Discovery, HBO, they have the branding, and this requires a motion graphics.
Right.
Yeah.
So you make like the graphics that go before shows, between shows, the interstitials, going to commercial, all that sort of thing.
Yes.
Do you do like newscasts as well?
News, yes. News channel also needs graphics, graphic packaging, so we do that as well. And motion graphics also used a lot in the commercials, TV commercials.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, basically whatever animated graphic that you see on the TV or anywhere, any digital screen, billboard, digital billboard, or whatever that is animated, yeah, it can be considered as a motion graphics.
So how is it distinct from doing like 3D animations? Because to me, as somebody who doesn't do this, it sounds pretty similar.
Yes. Motion graphics is kind of like, I would say it's like a cousin with visual effects because they are very close. And sometimes people from motion graphics goes to visual effects, and sometimes people from visual effects goes to motion graphics. And they are like very close. Motion graphics uses a lot of 3D as well. Yeah, if you see all the channel branding, they all need.
Yeah, they're all swooping
3D,
and swinging and everything.
It's just that we do it differently than the visual effects guys. And I would say there's a little bit of difference in terms of, in visual effects, you're trying to emulate reality, realism. Whatever you do have to be realistic.
Right.
But in motion graphics, it can be super stylistic.
Right.
Yeah.
It looks pretty high tech a lot of the time.
You
Not necessarily.
could say that. Yeah. We could have a like super random geometrical thing floating and just undulating and
right.
Yeah, and this kind of things, it can be very abstract it can also be very realistic.
Right. So what kind of software you use to make that? Is it still Maya and all that, or is it?
In motion graphics, I would say the most popular one is for 3D is Cinema 4D.
Okay.
And nowadays, the render engine that getting more popularity is Octane renderer. After Effects for compositing and for the 2D graphics. And to create the design, we use Illustrator and Photoshop as well.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, from an education point of view, then, obviously people go to these courses because they want to learn and they want to get a job and things like that. Is there a lot of demand for motion graphics?
Yes, it's huge demand. In fact, our students, even like 3 months, 6 months before they graduate, a lot of studios from Southeast Asia, Singapore especially, is already asking for them.
Right, they kind of come here, come work for us.
Yeah, they're already calling us like, hey, when is your students graduating?
Right, so you've got a pretty decent placement rate then, I guess.
Yeah, that's a huge demand. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
So what is the process then? So you so imagine you want a job in motion graphics. Presumably you mostly get hired based on a show reel or something like that.
Showreel, yes.
Yeah.
Showreel is number one.
And so the idea is to build up a varied show reel and put that together and then start pitching that at, is it mostly studios or do TV studios have their own motion graphics people as well?
Okay. As a motion graphics graduates, there are a lot of places that you can go. If you we always recommend to our students to go into the studios, motion graphics studios, because the kind of job that goes into the studio is the high-end kind of job.
Right.
So you will learn a lot there. But on another side, you also have TV channels. They also mostly they have an in-house graphic team, and they need motion graphic designer as well.
Right.
Yeah.
But it tends to be less varied and more specific to that TV station, you mean?
I'm sorry?
So it's less varied if you work for a TV station, and it's more...
I would say that if you work inside a TV channel, this is not like stereotyping, but the kind of work that you do inside of the TV channels, and not all like this, but the kind of thing that you do there is not as high-end as the thing that they outsource to the studios.
Right.
So
well, that makes sense. If you outsource it, it's because you don't have the skills in-house or whatever, right?
Yeah,
it's more more prestige work, I imagine.
Kind of. But saying that, not all like this. There are some broadcast channel that has a really strong in-house graphic channel, graphic team as well. For example, Fox. Yeah, Fox in Singapore, they have a really strong graphic team.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So if I want to become I want to do a complete career change, I want to become a motion graphic artist, what kind of things can I start learning now, or where should I start? What skills do I need? What do I need to do to have a chance?
All right. Okay. Motion graphics is basically based on graphic design. So you need to, in order to become a really good motion graphic designer, you need to understand graphic design, which is the basic of it. If you can do illustration, it's a beneficial as well. Technical skill, there's a lot of ways to study technical skill. So many tutorials out there nowadays. You can actually learn everything from the internet,
right?
If you want to, but this needs dedication, and you need to know where to look for. If you go to school, like our school, or any school, the good thing with it, I think, the thing that cannot be replaced with the tutorials out there is the community. Like you sit in the class, and when you have problem, you have your friends around, you have your seniors around, you have lecturers stand by, and you can get the answer just like that. Yeah. But if you're alone at home, you need to source from internet. Sometimes you cannot really get that specific answer that you want.
Right.
And yeah, that is one thing. Another thing, I think, is when you surround yourself with the people, with the like-minded people, with the environment of design environment, art environment, you're kind of be enriched by the whole environment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is the benefit of going to the motion graphics school or visual effects school or art school.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And your school is entirely classroom-based and experience-based, or is it also possible to go remote, to learn remotely?
Currently, I think our main is still the classroom based. Yeah. I'm not sure we have online. I don't think we have online course yet. So
Okay.
we have short courses and we have the main course. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So after I've learned how to actually draw and illustrate and that kind of thing, and I'm becoming a little bit better at that, what is the next step? Is it to start learning more of the technical skills, or is it more... Where do you go next?
Where do you go next? Oh, okay. Let's say you already know your skill, your knowledge, and you know your technical skill, 3D, 2D, design, conceptualizing, and all those things. Of course, you want to get into the industry. Some people, they go freelancing. But I would say if you're just starting out, it's better for you to try to get into the studios just because you want to learn about the studio structures.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say it's quite ideal plan to hopping studios.
Right. So
But-
learn what you can from each, and then...
Yeah.
How long is a typical motion graphic project? Because I imagine they're pretty short in time.
Oh, yeah. It
Weeks,
really
months?
depends. For broadcast pitching, for example, if Star World, they want to pitch for new rebranding, the last case that I experienced, I think is about less than a week, I think.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, which is not very healthy, but
Yeah, it wouldn't be.
but that's the state of the industry, I think.
But the other good thing about that, though, is that it means if you go to a studio, you can finish, in a year, you finish 20 projects. That is really good work for your reel, and then you have an
Yeah.
opportunity to move to other places, I imagine.
Yes, yeah. And it depends on the studio that you choose, but the really productive one, maybe it's a hell for you, but it's like a,
It's a productive hell.
yeah, productive hell. And once you come out from there, you will become like, you can handle any kind of jobs.
Right.
And that's when you want to go freelance, I think.
Right.
Which freelancing, I think it could double your rate easily.
Right.
If you're good and if you're famous and your
So do
attitude
people-
is good.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Do people tend to freelance for studios or directly for TV studios?
Freelance can go anywhere.
Right.
They can go for sit in studio, and there's a lot of trend as well now to sit in agency, creative agency,
Right.
advertising agencies. Rarely sit in the TV broadcast channel.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's super cool. So, what do you feel like that the differences are between the learning environment in, say, Singapore, or if you go to LA, for example? Is it very similar, or is there are there any important differences?
Okay, I never experienced LA,
Okay.
but a lot of studios in Singapore, it's still referencing to US, for example. So I'm not sure whether it's good to go there because recently we had a speaker from New York, which is a established motion graphic designer as well. He did a talk in our school and he mentioned that place actually doesn't matter because of nowadays you can learn everything from internet. You can connect with whoever you want. You can learn from whoever you want. So he said environment and place is not an excuse. You can actually learn anything you want if you have the will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really interesting because what I'm learning from a lot of people I'm talking to here is that there is a lot of, if you work in VFX or in computer graphics, you need a lot of really heavy assets and heavy rendering machines and that kind of thing, which means that a lot of that work can't really be done remotely. But it sounds from what you're saying is the projects are small enough that it's actually possible to share assets and to work from pretty much anywhere for clients all over the world. Is that right?
It's correct, yes. But this one is also depend on the type of job that you're taking. There's a lot of motion graphic is an interesting thing because you can go alone or you can go in a team. If you go alone, it's hard to achieve really high-end kind of work.
Right.
But there's a lot of demand for mid-end work as well.
Right.
And it's really enough to sustain your life.
Awesome.
But if you the person that want to push yourself and you want to make a really crazy up there work, then yeah, you might need a team, and you might need to team up with the best people up there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can go anywhere. You can take any kind of jobs. You can go remote if you want, as long as there's internet. There's
Sure.
a Google Drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So where do people actually get the freelance work? Is it just from word of mouth that they know about you, or are there platforms where you can pitch for work, or how does that work?
Interestingly enough, I'm not really sure how to say this. Of course, there's a platform for us to put. For motion graphic designer, mostly the platform, we always have an online portfolio. We put them in Behance. Behance is the big one.
Yeah.
Linking the video from Behance normally is to Vimeo. Some people put it in YouTube nowadays. Dribble for 2D kind of stuff. We put stuff there, work in progress.
Right.
Instagram is the big one as well.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
I guess it's kind of hard to find work via Instagram. But if you're in the right loops and you have the right people watching what you're doing, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. The interesting thing is, I'm not sure why, but this is for quite personal to me and to my girlfriend. Both of us is motion graphic designer. When we, this one specifically to her probably, when she quit her job, she was planning to put a nice showreel and put a website and send emails to agencies or those kind of things to get job. But we're not sure why. Without doing that, she's already got a lot of jobs.
So how do people find her? Word of mouth, or?
I think it's word of mouth. Yeah. So we have a close community of freelancers, motion graphic designers. It's a small industry, so everyone knows each other.
Right.
When one freelancer too busy to take one job,
And it bounces to the other.
yeah. Mostly they want to become a nice person. They want to be helpful, so they will recommend someone else.
Yeah, of course. And if you're low in work, hopefully they send some work your way, you know?
Yeah. It's vice versa. Yeah.
So is it? So you mentioned that. So sorry, the thing I wanted to dig into a little bit was, you mentioned that there's people working in teams, but there's also people working alone. So is it possible to actually complete a brief right from beginning to end, all the way through, with just one person and a computer, and just do it yourself?
It's possible. Yes.
Huh.
Yes. And there are crazy people out there that can do a really crazy work alone. Yeah.
They just kind of lock themselves in and get all the work done.
Maybe. Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, it's possible.
So where do you see the trends going of the industry? Is there big changes happening, or are there more, you know, I'm guessing the work is moving slightly away from television and also towards the more big online shows, Netflix, that kind of thing, because there's a lot of new mediums happening for this kind of work.
Yeah. These recent years, this is from my observation.
Sure.
I don't know how true is it for other people, but from my observation, especially in Singapore, the budget from broadcast tend to keep on decreasing year by year.
Right.
Shrinking. And actually, I chat with that designer. I wouldn't say the name, but the designer that we invited to our school. He's from New York. He mentioned the same thing. The broadcast industry in US is also...
They're just slashing the budgets and...
Yeah. According to him, he worked with agency before. He basically jumped from motion graphic studios to agencies, and now he has his own company because he wants to observe every part of the industry,
right.
And he wants to know what's going on. So the pie of the budget is shrinking from television and goes into digital.
Right.
Nowadays. Digital...
so things for websites and web series and that kind of thing, or?
Particularly, he's in interactive nowadays. He's now doing a lot of high-end interactive that has a really cool motion graphics, and it's basically motion graphics that you can really interact. Like if you see those kind of very high tech touching screen, this kind of thing, it used to be just rendered stuff, but nowadays with the technology, you can actually really try to achieve that kind of things.
So it's super high-end 3D UX work almost. You've moved
Probably.
away from
Probably
that into user interfaces and that kind of thing.
Yeah. This is just one of a new market.
Sure.
But yeah, basically broadcast is start to shrink. Advertising, I would say, still have a pretty good budget. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
That's super fun. So are you seeing any differences between what you guys are doing in Asia, for example, to other places in the world? Are there trends emerging, or is everybody doing very similar work in terms of technology and in terms of, I guess, visual language, that sort of thing?
Right. Again, this is from my observation. Sure. Yeah. Of course, there's a trend that going on. This is because of the reference that all of us looking at nowadays is kind of similar. Which is this is like a kind of like a good thing about internet and the bad thing about internet, because everyone can see what each other's doing, and everyone is referencing to the same thing. Everyone is putting their work in the same social media.
Right. So you feel like it's converging in a way?
They're kind of creating a pond that they're just looping works there.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a trend definitely.
But are there people who are consistently bucking the trend and going outside and doing new and innovative work? I'm guessing that's why you guys are trying to work with the school and kind of trying to develop that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, there's some people that keep on trying to push the boundary, and normally these kind of people that push the boundary, once they come out with this kind of work and people see this work, it kind of become trend, and now everyone can do that.
Right, and then they have to go and innovate somewhere else again.
Yeah. There are always some few people that always pushing the boundaries, and it will become trend. Yeah.
That's so interesting. You see that a lot in all sorts of things. I mean, you see that in photography, you see that in graphic design, you see that in web design. You know, there are big trends that just kind of keep repeating and kind of moving in similar directions for the whole industry. And I think there's always a small group of people who are pushing forward and kind of driving the innovation and the change and the excitement for the rest of the industry. And I feel like that is where schools are actually really important and interesting, because when you bring new people into a new industry, one of the beautiful things you get is obviously, you know, they are not necessarily that deep in the industry, and there's new innovation, there's new kind of new ideas that happen as a result, I think.
Yeah, actually, this is also kind of interesting topic, I think. Topic about originality. And this is the thing that our school we're still trying to figure out this, because our school is one year program, 1 year diploma. It's really hard to put everything into 1 year.
Yes.
And when you're just starting out, you're still in the state of learning and experiencing as many styles as you can. And before you reach the level of you can create something original, some of us copy the good thing first, and after the copy, then we try to up level and create new things out of what we experience.
Yeah.
But this is a struggle, because just getting into the copy sometimes it's not that easy.
Right.
Yeah, the student understanding and the speed of them learning is not the same.
Yeah.
Some people come with a background, some people come with zero knowledge.
Right.
So originality, I think, originality and pushing the boundary is still a struggle. Yeah, it's still hard to achieve.
That makes sense. And I think that's also where the whole trend of using tutorials is really interesting, because obviously the idea of using a tutorial is that you make something very, very pretty, but that is, by definition, you're learning to copy something, which is good for learning new techniques, learning new tools, learning new, for learning. But then ultimately you still have to add the layer of creativity to it to really drive home what it is you're trying to learn and what you're trying to actually continue with. So I think that's a really interesting approach to trying to learn something, right? I've seen that
Yeah.
with. So I'm really big into photography. I've done a
Alright.
lot of photography teaching, and my advice is always look, find a photo you love and copy it like right to the last detail, because that's how you learn. But then, only thing you've done is you plagiarized someone. Now
Yeah.
it's the next step towards doing like, okay, now you know the technique, go and use your creativity. And I feel like there's some really interesting challenges there around people who are getting very good at technical, but haven't quite figured out the creative side. So how do you? So I imagine you can teach the tools and the techniques quite easily. How do you teach the creative? How do you get people to express themselves with their new mediums?
Right.
Or is that the hardest part about all of this?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, this is still a struggle for us, I think. Creativity, yeah. Actually, this is the thing that I keep on thinking to how can we alter our structure of the course? But it's still a puzzle for us. I would say I kind of look at the Japan.
Yeah.
If you see Japanese motion graphics or Japanese art, they are not like the most polished kind of thing, but they are so original. So I don't know why is that. I'm still studying. But I think that the place I will look for originality is Japan.
Awesome.
US is also
So you take
really,
their originality and take your kind of technical know-how and you go, let's make something that actually meets somewhere in the middle, kind of thing.
maybe.
Awesome.
Maybe.
Well, I think we're actually out of time. Thanks
right.
so much for coming, Martin.
Thanks for
thank you
having
for
me.
thank you.